fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got really outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Well, after the rip-roaring success that was Season 1 of OZICAR Formula Vee Series saw some of the biggest, most competitive grids and non-stop slipstreaming racing action, one of iRacing's newest entry-level single-seaters, it's now time for Season 2, and we're going to kick it off here at the Red Bull Ring. Same format as last year, 2 races, 15-minute sprint to kick us off, then shootout qualifying into the 30-minute compulsory pit stop race. And for tonight's action here on SimSpeed TV, I'm David Haynes. I'm joined by Simon Mazzomo. Jay Kennedy has the cameras and the graphics and production tonight. Simon, welcome. Red Bull Ring is a lot of time at flat out throttle, and these are cars that would slipstream each other around a shopping centre car park.
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. Great to be involved in this one. Watched a little bit of it last season, and as you sort of said in your intro, just fantastic racing. Slipstream, yeah, it's a big, long circuit, lots of straights. So, yeah, the slipstream is going to be massive, getting the track map up at the moment. So, yeah, it's going to be some awesome racing, I think, tonight.
All the details. In case you weren't watching F1 a couple of weeks ago when they were here, and we... the world became very well acquainted over a couple of weekends with this track. Turn 1, got to look out for the track limits on the exit. Turn 3, I think drivers will be slipstreaming each other by each other before they even get to that corner, but look for overtaking there. And then, of course, track limits at the end of the lap as well. Open 1969, it says, but of course, many a renovation since then makes it a similar character to the old Österreich but not using all of the same track. Qualifying's already been run for race number 1. This is what it looks like. Joseph De Jesus on pole alongside Cam Dance, and that's quite a handy little margin there as well, given there's not many turns to separate the drivers around here. Then Chris Noble and Ryan Howe behind. Another Ryan Jones in 5th, and then Michael Skurlock is in 6th. We've got Mikey Harland, Simon Clayson, Sean Doyle, Jamie Skeller, Lee Partridge, and Dennis Hancock for the top 12.
And we'll move into P13. Kirk Broadhurst in P14th will be Josh Burden. Reece Gardner into the car out of the combox this year will be in 15th spot. Daniel Hirschchild, Aaron Guinty, Matthew Guinty as well in 18th. Sorry, I've lost my bearings there. Nathan Verney will be 19th. Stuart Crawford in rounding out the top 20. Simon Hederscheit there on row 11. Ray Oliver alongside. Then Ash Knowles and Stafford Marshall rounding out row 12.
A lot of returning names, but also a lot of new names. We've got Ira Felberg then behind that. Jeremy Bush, Callum Heinrich, Vic Van Veltzen, Max Donnelly, Mick Taylor, Paul Ward, Matthew Harriott, Leon Williams, Matthew Joy, Sean McKenzie, Ryan Simpson, Rick Berger, Aaron Friend, and Stephen Black. For 39 drivers, this is as big as a grid as you'll ever get to see for Formula V's, lined up at the home of the Austrian Grand Prix. And with 7 laps ahead of them for this race 1 sprint, we are underway, and that's not a great jump from your pole sitter. A much better jump from Cam Dance. He's through into the lead. Chris Noble and Ryan Howe have also jumped your pole sitter to Jesus, who is back into 4th, and he's side by side as they come up the hill to the 90-degree apex of turn 1, and then it will be flat out for the longest time. Bit of contact in the background there. Daniel Hederscheid's off, rolls back onto the track, and someone else is missing a wheel. We saw that plenty of times last season, wheel-to-wheel contact in these cars, but up the front, the slipstream, what a huge effect it plays as they go 3 wide all through the field. Cam Dance looks like he's just going to hold on to the lead through turn 3, but look how close teammates Chris Noble and Ryan Howe are, keeping the pressure on him. And Ryan Jones is up into 4th as well. So your pole sitter back into 5th. Looks like he's going to settle in now, try to regain that momentum. but laps will tick by very quickly in this one.
Absolutely. Only 7 in this. We could see a move for the lead at the moment. Chris Noble up the inside. Doesn't look like Cam's fighting it too hard. Just going to try to keep him a little bit honest out of turn 3. You can see also on the outside, Ryan Howe also having a look. So this is one of the things about these. They'll run side by side for a fair bit. Still holding on. Cam trying to hold on to second. You can see the field starting to stretch itself out a little bit, but this lead pack is definitely fighting hard at the moment. You can see the top 7 at the moment. It looks like there's a bit of contact with Cam. He's running a little bit wide. The field's all checking up. So this battle pack, they're going to go 3-4 wide. There's contact. One's off for the track.
Chris Noble is shooting down the timing order, and he's got damage, and he's pulled it off, and I wonder exactly what happened there. I thought track limits would be more of a concern around these corners here. It's not for the leaders. Cam Dance and Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones running a little wide. Ryan Howe looking to get up the inside of him, and there's been more contact deeper in the field. A lot of cars off at the same place. That front right suspension is no good for Reese Gardner. He's going to get it back onto the pavement, but I think his suspension is probably too badly damaged at this point. 1 lap completed here at the Red Bull Ring, and another spinner, bit of contact, another driver into the wall. Front pack, your pole sitter, DeJesus, and also Michael Skurlock, I think, might have been involved there as well. So it has not been easy running up front or deeper in the field on lap number 1. Michael Skurlock, I think, is rejoining and recovering here. And now the lead pack is down to just 6. It's Cameron Dance, Ryan Jones, Ryan Howe, Sean Doyle, Lee Partridge, Simon Clayson, the Jamie Scaler and Kirk Broadbent trying to catch up to them as well here. And the amount of time just in that 4th gear, just revving up the hill. Slipstream is oh so powerful here. It's honestly getting ridiculous.
The few laps I did earlier, right, coming up into turn 2, that thing is really lugging itself as it tries to pull up that hill. Only ever going down to 3rd. That's probably the interesting thing with these cars. You don't ever really need to go back to 2nd or 1st. So you can see that draft we keep talking about. That's just showing its big effect at the moment. You can see a battle for lead. Ryan Jones looks like he's gone for a move on Cam Dance and has actually got the job done. So Ryan Jones currently up 4 spots. Another mover at the moment is Lee Partridge as well, who's actually come up 7 spots into P4. So that initial little contact that was happening with that front group and throughout the field as well. So it's, you know, if you kept your nose clean, it's definitely working out for you at the moment. You're in this little lead pack, stay in the draft. You could definitely find yourself in a position to battle for the end. That's probably what a lot of these guys would be thinking right now. Very, very wide was Ryan through the second last corner as they head onto the front straight to tick down another lap. But that's the thing, probably why Cam was not fighting so hard initially, is there's a long way to go in this one, and might pay to sort of sit in behind and set yourself up for a move later on.
1st and 2nd from last year's championship, running 2nd and 3rd right now. Lee Partridge has done well in this race so far to dodge some of the chaos, and Dance almost tobogganing it on that yellow curb on the exit of turn 1. The Olympics, not the Winter Olympics that's on at the moment, so maybe less tobogganing. And it's your top 5, you can see in picture here, all nose to tail. Then a bit of weaving going on from Simon Clayson back in 6th. That's probably not helping him keep tabs on the leaders, as that looks like Sean Doyle going up the inside, really bouncing it at that steep apex there. You can keep the car smoother and flatter if you go a little wide, because it is oh so hilly right at the apex of the corner. And Lee Partridge has gone back into 3rd. Sean Doyle's had to slot back into 4th. And now Ryan Howe, as you can see from up on high, this could be a view from top of one of the mountains, but Ryan Howe gets out of the throttle on that one. There is just a car length or so between all these guys, Ryan Jones and Cam Dance. This is where Jones took the lead away a lap ago from Dance. Dance is really thinking the long game in what's quite a short race.
Yeah, quite short, but substantial lap times we're looking at the moment. That last lap around, they were in the high 1 minute 57, so it's a decent lap time around here, with only sort of, once we get to the line, they'll have about 4 to go. So definitely a bit of time to sort of plan your moves, but this battle pack just seems to have settled itself down a little bit. You can see at the moment Ryan Howe just having a little bit of a look on the outside as they head in towards the second last corner. We've got a little sort of pack forming behind as well of Kirk Broadhurst, Simon Clayson as well, sort of in that one, and Jamie Skeller as well. So that's another little battle pack that's sort of forming just behind them as well. So starting a few groups, you're starting to find that one or two people are just sort of battling at the moment. That sort of initial lap incident sort of spread everyone out, but there's still decent amount of battle packs out there, which is the brilliant thing with these cars, is that you generally seem to find yourself somewhere where you can battle with someone, and generally if you could just stay in that draft, it'll be a battle for the rest of the race.
So two drivers who were up the front, Skurlock and Jesus, battling there over 11th and 12th pole sitter. Back in 12th here in race 1. We'll probably be thankful for an extra qualifying session between this and next race. The shootout qualifying go the same for our race 1 pole sitter. Ryan Jones has gone backwards from the lead though, back into 5th. So Sean Doyle from 3rd into the lead. Dance into 2nd, Lee Partridge into 3rd. And Ryan Jones has maybe discovered that chug in the highest gear going up the hill there for a long time at wide open throttle is not really the time you want to be the leader. That's where the strategy could come into this, and the gamesmanship, the chess moves and the positioning on the final lap. You might not want to start that final lap in the lead. So Doyle up front at the moment. Dance right up behind him, carrying a lot of speed, trying to take some different lines. This is probably a pretty tricky corner for these cars here, as you've got to try to throw some speed in, but still work it around to then carry the speed off the right-hander. Doyle still leading for the moment. Lee Partridge is looking down the inside here, not where we've seen all the moves happen so far today, but he is going to get all the way down the inside and take the lead. So that was clearly a good run through the middle sector to then take the lead. 3 laps to go at the start of this one. Still a lot to happen.
Yep, still a bit to go. You can see now another change of position. Sean Doyle going for another look as they head down the front straight. They'll run into turn 1. You can also see behind Ryan Howe having another look as well. So it's starting to happen now. The position happens in Cam getting dropped back to 4th place. Now he's actually going to come under attack by the looks of this by Ryan Jones as well. So maybe Cam just sort of letting these guys battle a little bit hard at the moment. It's a bit early to be going for these big moves, but obviously Sean getting back to the front again obviously feels like he wants to be leading this pack. He doesn't want to be sitting back with everyone else, but they're going to go side by side again. Lee Partridge is going to be up the inside, but he's going to try and outbreak him around the outside. Ryan Howe having another look as well, but he has, Sean not getting a good run off the corner. Oh, there's a bit of contact as well.
Partridge might have missed a gear there because all of a sudden he was going nowhere. Big evasive action from everyone else, and Ryan Howe into the lead. Sean Doyle behind that, and Lee Partridge is back into 5th with Jamie Skeller and Kirk Broadhurst and Simon Clayson's having all caught up. 8 cars for the lead, and a bit of side-by-side contact potentially there between Dance and Doyle. Both of them continue. We've seen wheel-to-wheel contact end in a lot of damage in these cars. It's something you want to avoid, and they've just gotten away with it on that one. So Howe leads them into the left-handers in the middle of the lap, and there is a lapped car just offline there. Everyone manages to avoid. And then a little wide of the line from Dance, and Sean Doyle gets a sneaky peek at him. We saw Partridge grab a whole bunch of positions here a lap ago. So who's got the speed and maybe the guts to look down the inside at the next corner? Well, Jamie Skeller wants to. Everyone else in the top 4 willing to stay in line, but Skeller looks down the inside of Partridge. So from Partridge in the lead, he might end up back in 6th, but he bravely hangs it around the outside of the final corner here. Doesn't give a great run to either of those guys, and as we ride on board with Kirk Broadhurst, is he going to think about 3 wide down the inside into turn 1? He's not. He had the speed, but he's just going to wait in behind Skeller. 2 laps to go. Ryan Howe leads, and I think Dance just snuck his way up into 3rd. Traffic staying out of the way once again, and you'd want to. Look at this angry pack for the lead.
Yeah, hate to be a lap car in this situation right now, but this top 4 battling hard again. Looks like they're going to go side by side again. You can see Ryan Jones going to the inside. He's going to try and make a 3 wide. Nope, does not look like it. He's pulling out, letting these 2 battle. So Ryan and Sean side by side once again. Cam in the background just watching this happen. They'll go back to single file as they come off the corner, but Cam with a really good run off the corner as well. Ryan in front for the moment now. Obviously this battle is not going to end anytime soon. This is going to go all the way to the end. Ryan going a bit defensive as they head down towards turn 3. You can see Ryan in the background having a bit of a lob as well. He's lobbed it in there quite hard. Cam having to try and stay wide to avoid it. Cam will hold on to position. But again, looks like Sean once again going for a move around the outside on P1. So he desperately wants to get back into the league. He is not happy sitting in second at the moment, whereas Cam just seems to be sitting back and letting this all unfold. So wonder what Cam is planning at this point. Obviously the reigning champion from last season. And you see once again going to the inside. Sean Doyle looks like he's got his nose in front for the moment. You can see the 2 cars coming behind. Ryan's going to have a look at Cam. He's going to go for a look for second. A big avoiding manoeuvre there from Ryan Howe. That's going to open up the door for Cam Dance as well. So in the space of 1 corner, Ryan Howe's been shuffled from first all the way down to 4th.
Yeah, and the top 4 are battling. They've been starting to get away from the drivers behind as we start the final lap of the race with Sean Doyle leading. Then battling they just did might bring Lee Partridge and others back in. Here's Ryan Howe thinking about 3rd, backing out of it. 3 wide for 5th place behind between Claysons and Partridge and Kirk Broadhurst as well. And they all managed to navigate their way through turn 1, but it's cost them all a great deal of time. Now, more than 2 seconds off the top 4. And Jamie Skeller actually might have had some problems there, but it is the box formation up front. Ryan Jones down the inside alongside Sean Doyle. Behind them, Dance and Ryan Howe. Jones, narrow line to the apex. 3 wide off the exit.
No.
Over under from Cam Dance. Is looking to pick them all off, but he hasn't got the same speed as Sean Doyle, who's in the middle. What do you do if you're Ryan Howe? He's got speed and nowhere to go. Absolutely level for the lead here, and the inside belongs to Sean Doyle, but this won't be decided until coming off the final corner, no doubt. The lob return, Cam Dance gets down the inside there, but no, Doyle out wide onto the grass, no traction, no drive, drops back into 4th. Dance with his nose in front. Jones looking down the inside at the left-hander here. Now Ryan Howe into 3rd, also wants to follow down the inside, and he's going to try that, almost a little bit of contact, a really big wiggle, no speed for Howe with that loss of grip. So Jones holding on to the lead, but he's got absolutely nothing with Cam Dance right behind him, slipstreaming towards the final 2 corners. Jones is at the right-hand side of the track. He's absolutely parked it. Does he have the speed down the inside to cover off Dance, carrying the speed around the outside? Dance tries to just move him across, ease him off so Dance can come around the outside, and they're still absolutely level with 1 corner to go on the final lap, and they touch but somehow continue. Dance comes through into the lead. Ryan Jones manages to just pick it up somehow, is going to slipstream him back towards the line, but contact in the final corner, and Cam Dance redresses the position, and Ryan Jones wins.
I've got a feeling that was a slowdown. He was very wide on the exit of the final corner. Kind of feel, from memory, I can't quite remember exactly. It's been a while since I've done a proper lap around this place, but I got a feeling that that would have been a slowdown for Cam Dance. He couldn't clear it in time.
Well, we'll see at the end of this where the cars all fall. We've got to wait for everyone else to come to the checkered flag before it might calculate post-race penalties for carrying black flags to the checkered flag. The drivers all steaming on through here, and Partridge ended up in 5th there, as you see, but that might get elevated up. And in the last cars we've got battling on the lead lap with Paul Ward and Leon Williams. For Jamie Skeller running in the top pack and then picking up some damage. I still see Daniel Hederscheid out there having a little bit of a battle. Who's he racing with? Chris Noble. They're going to have a similar battle through the final sector. Down the inside is Hederscheid. Around the outside comes Noble, a winner in this championship last season with a race win to his name, and he gets around the outside of the penultimate corner, and then through the final one, he's just got to follow the track limits. I think he'll, or maybe just hold on to that one. His Hederscheid trying to create another photo finish to the line. I think Noble had his nose in front, but what a close finish, even though it was over 28th and 29th. And is that almost everyone to the checkered flag? Let's take a look at our results from race 1, the 15-minute sprint race. Let's see if any post-race penalties get applied into this one. And they absolutely have. Cam Dance nowhere to be seen in the top 10 after picking up a slowdown for exceeding track limits in the final corners. Ryan Jones takes the win for an all-Ryan 1-2, and Sean Doyle on the podium. Gap from them went backwards to Lee Partridge, who gets elevated into 4th. Kirk Broadhurst in 5th, Simon Clayson in 6th, Dennis Hancock in 7th. Pole sitter Joseph DeJesus works his way back up into 8th from as deep as about 15th in the field there, but still maybe a disappointment for the pole man. And then Ray Oliver, Michael Skurlock complete the top 10. The next 10 was Stuart Crawford, Max Donnelly, Joshua Burden, Ash Knowles, Kelm Heinrich, Jeremy Bush, Mikey Harlan, Nathan Verney, Rick Berger, and Ira Felberg. Still, Cam Dance nowhere to be seen in the top 20.
We'll flip over to 21st. Matthew Guentini there. Camera Dance in 22nd. So that penalty adding roughly about 45 seconds onto the time. Paul Ward in 23rd. Leon Williams, Jamie Skeller. Looks like he actually had fuel issues why he's dropped back so far. Aaron Friend in 26th. 27th was Sean McKenzie. Chris Noble in 28th. 29th, Daniel Hederscheit. Vic Betlevin in 30th spot, and we start to squeeze into the DNFs. So Simon Hederscheit is there, Matthew Joy, Matthew Harriott, Stephen Black, Arian Guentini, Ryan Simpson, Reese Gardner, obviously in that opening lap incident, Stefan Marshland, and Mick Taylor rounding out the 39 car grid.
Well, that was the kind of action we expected from these cars on a Grand Prix circuit here in the first race for tonight in OZICAR Formula Vee Series. Take a little break, and when we come back, shoot out one-lap qualifying for the 30-minute compulsory pit stop race number 2. That one is going to be very interesting as well. Everyone who had a tough time in race number 1 has the opportunity to redeem themselves and show us what they're worth in race 2. So get another shot at qualifying and another shot at another race. Join us for that in a couple of minutes here on SimSpeed TV. We will be back shortly with race number 2.
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year, but the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker, especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs, any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top
Oh my
here!
God! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?
Hope you didn't go too far because we're back here at Red Bull Ring, ready for race 2 of OZICAR Formula V. This is round 1 of season 2. We are back at it again after the excitement that was season number 1, where Cam Dance took the championship here in round 1 and season 2. Things haven't gotten off to the start he would have wanted. 45-second post-race penalty for running wide in the final corner. Incredibly harsh. Dropped him from battling for the lead, finishing in 22nd. But he can still do something about it for race number 2. 1 lap qualifying is about to kick off. He started from second in race number 1. He'll be looking to go 1 better potentially. We'll take a look at what single car qualifying looks like around the Red Bull Ring, and that'll set them up for race number 2. As you can see, the compulsory pit stop, that window between about lap 1 and 12, I would say, something in that range. With a huge grid like this, we will get a lot of split strategies out there as well. But let's take a look at qualifying now, Simon, because all the drivers are streaming out of pit lane, and I think they'll get plenty of opportunity for tyre warming around this outlap, unlike some of the shorter circuits we went to last season.
Yeah, nice big track gives you a good opportunity to get the tyres warm, so definitely tyre warmth is going to be the big key thing. Obviously only having 1 lap, quite an interesting concept. Wasn't quite aware it's a single lap one, but definitely an interesting challenge for the drivers. Like usually most of the time you'll get 2 or 3 laps to sort of get your time in. Your first lap's used as a bit of a side, your banker lap, sort of get your bearings and where things are, and then your second lap's generally where you put all your eggs in the basket. But now they've got to prepare themselves not only mentally, but also make sure that the car, everything's up to temp, that everything feels right, because you know, if you want to put it on pole, you've got to nail it first time out. So you can't really afford to set up your qualifying run. Can't afford to not really have a good setup for your qualifying run, I should say.
I'm feeling so healthy here at the Red Bull Ring. There's like billboard ads for tomatoes and fruit juice, and who needs tobacco sponsorship in motorsport anymore? Ryan Simpson is coming towards the end of his outlap to then begin the flying lap. Track limits got a little bit of abuse throughout race number 1, but of course through qualifying they are far more strictly enforced, with times deleted for exceeding those track limits. Ryan Simpson having no problems with that coming to the start of a flying lap. We're going to see a lot of time, I think, in 4th gear with that wide open throttle. Which corners are they going through in 3rd?
From when I was doing laps earlier, so turn 1, so as they come out of there, so Ryan Simpson would have came out of there in 3rd gear. As we run up into turn 2 again, you'll be dropping it back to 3rd gear there as well. Turn 3, the next hairpin, once again back to 3rd. Now, multiple different ways you could sort of do this. You can probably hold on to 4th gear as you go through the infield section, so through Ranch all the way through to the second last corner. You can probably just hold it into 4th, but there is a little bit of a gain I found just in dropping to 3rd. Just gets the revs up a little bit more, helps carry that mid-quarter momentum a bit better, and then obviously you got the final corner, which again you could probably run it in 4th gear, but if you need that little bit more rotation just to sort of help get the car off the corner again, you can drop it to 3rd. But it seems to be about it, and like I said, there's not a lot of opportunities, not a lot of spots there where you really need to actually use 3rd gear. I guess that's the good thing about these cars, is how much utility they've got in those higher gears. 1st and 2nd, they're very short. They're enough to get you going, but that's it. You don't really want to use them for anything else. coming through this section at the moment. You'll be grabbing third and then trying to run through here as quick as you can. Try and maximise your run through the corner. You can use quite a bit of the exit curb as well to sort of straighten your run up. And being such a wide, long circuit, trying to keep the car as straight as possible is going to obviously help in getting that lap time down and trying to get to pole.
Just 2 more corners on Ryan Simpson's only shot at qualifying for race number 2. That looks still good. Some tyres on the curb. Now through the final corner. Easy as you like. No risk taken there at all for Ryan Simpson, running it towards the line. And we're going to start to see qualifying times come in. He set a 158.3. Doesn't sound too bad at all. Pole sitter from race number 1, Jesus, with 157.3. Currently 8/10 clear of everyone else, but we'll see what other drivers can do as they all put their times on the board. 16 times and counting. Still 39 drivers I can see for race number 2. We've still got everyone, so that will mean that having no qualifying time will be super punishing for any of our drivers who may have exceeded track limits on their flying lap. So race winner, 1 winner Ryan Jones, and 58.7, still well short. And no time for Cam Dance either, we're hearing and seeing there. So that is going to be a really tough start to the season and to the race. Cam Dance, still no one able to challenge that whole time at the moment. Noble and Howe and Skurlock and Hancock very close to each other, but a long way from pole. And that's the end of qualifying. And we'll take a look at the grid for race number 2. And then we get to the end. You can see some big names that didn't set a qualifying time. So for the pole lockout, Joseph De Jesus on pole, and then Chris Noble behind, Ryan Howe, Michael Skurlock, Dennis Hancock, Simon Clayston in 6th. Then in 7th, it is Joshua Burden, Jamie Skeller, Ryan Jones, Stuart Crawford, Mikey Harland, and Kirk Broadhurst for the top 12.
We go from row 7 back. Matthew Guantini there alongside Aaron Guantini as well. The 2-3-3, the 2-2-3 and the 3-3-3. Interesting. Daniel Hederscheid will start behind in 15th. 16th will be Nathan Verney. Ryan Oliver and Stafford Marsland will round out row 9. Sean McKenzie, Jeremy Bush in row 11. Matthew Harriott, Vic Bent. Apologies, Bent Velson.
You were closer before we told you how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I know. You should have told me. Callie Weidrich will be coming in 23rd spot. Mick Taylor in 24th.
Let's look through the rest of the field then, and the last drivers with a qualifying time are Paul Ward and Leon Williams. Then some big names that are slightly easier to pronounce without qualifying times: Cam Dance, Sean Doyle, Reese Gardner, Simon Hetterscheid, and then just continues from then. Ryan Simpson, Max Donnelly, Ira Felberg, Ash Knowles, Rick Berger, Lee Partridge, etc. But we are underway, getting racing, and this time a much better launch from your pole sitter. Some drivers in the back there who might have stalled it. So, and I do see that has been collected. There's some tyres and other bits streaming across the track in the background. But for the lead, it is pretty clean for the top 10, but then some other drivers have spun on those cold tyres. So easy to do when you get out of the throttle. And Ryan Jones, your race 1 winner, is there in the back, facing the wrong way, not moving. Has he got damage? He's able to get into reverse gear. He's waited for everyone before he got going, but now he is at the very, very back of the field. And Jesus leads Ryan Howe in 2nd and Chris Noble in 3rd. Here's Cam Dance going from all the way right up the back. It looks like he's turned the difficulty down. I hate when they say that. Hindhoff loves to say that, but that is exactly what it looked like, just splitting the gap through the middle. So much confidence on the cold tyres for Cam Dance. Just side by side up the front for the lead, are they not? And got Lee Partridge and Kurt Broadhurst and others battling right in the middle of the field as well. Bit of rallycross action. Oh, there's one of the locked on cars around in a tough spot facing the wrong way, and one of the ORT vehicles has ploughed in there as well. Big field, and that means big accidents when a mistake is made on the first lap. The Lee Partridge, 2nd in last season, that thing isn't getting out of the gravel.
That was a big hit, so I'd be surprised if that thing's even drivable at the moment. But yeah, just really blind corner as well, just spun in the completely wrong spot, and once you've committed to that corner, it makes it hard to sort of get out. But you can see the battle up front at the moment, it's going off. This mid-pack battle as well, you can see cars streaming out, trying to find their way through the field. Right now, as they head towards the last corner, you can see them just scattered everywhere at the moment. As they come out of the final corner, 2-3 wide as they head down the front straight, 3 wide. They are, for a feature race, which is meant to be a bit longer, they're definitely treating it like it's a 2-lap sprint. As they head up towards turn 1, you can see Ray Oliver backed out of that one, did not really want to get involved. Cam Dance, we can see on board at the moment, so far up 13 spots on the opening lap. So fantastic work by Cam around the outside. He's going to try and split these guys as well. So very good first lap there. You can see on board with Reese Gunn. You can just see everyone sitting line astern at the moment. No one really wants to go down the middle. They're waiting for the opportunity to appear at turn 2. As they head deep into the braking zone, Cam backs out a little bit but stays on the outside. We can see the cars in front as well. There's a little bit of a check up there. You can see Broadhurst and Matthew Guantini as well. Aaron as well in front of this pack. So this one seems to be where the action is at the moment as they head down to turn 3.
And only 3 drivers took the scheduled pit stop at the end of lap 1. It was Mikey Harlan and Stafford Marsland and Jeremy Bush, all of our leaders opting to stay out. And this is what it's created. More 2 wide at the far end of the circuit. Aaron Guintini just kind of leading them around. It's Broadhurst and Matthew Guintini side by side in the background there. And how interesting was that Cam Dance on board? Just cars 2 wide, 3 wide, everywhere that you go in front of him. He knows he's got speed and he just can't go anywhere with it. And no, your pole sitter now spun around and more spins in the background there as well. Who's made it through and who hasn't? I see damage for Reese Gardner and Michael Skurlock, and someone's tyre. It's off their wagon. It's off Cam Dance's wagon. He might be able to limp this to pit lane if he's oh so lucky, but that car is not in a good way at all. He's going to need a Cairo after that.
There's contact as well. He just cannot turn the thing at the moment. You can see how difficult he has. He's got complete opposite lock going. That is not happy. He's going to touch the wall too. That was such an unfortunate incident.
I don't think that's going to be a safe pit entrance either.
Yeah, actually, yeah, good point. He completely cut across. Oh no, he's spotted coming into the lane. So this has just gone from bad to worse for Cam Dance. I think he's just called it quits there. He's gone back to the pits. So a few big drivers in this one have found themselves at just a very, very bad spot. So this race has just been flipped on its head at the moment. Out front, Ryan Howe with a comfortable margin. So yeah, you just can't quite comprehend what's happened in the opening first 2 laps of this one. The feature race, it's gone off.
Let's recap then. Ryan Howe is leading from Simon Clayson and Dennis Hancock. Those 3 have a little bit of a breakaway. Then behind them comes this 3-car battle. That's Chris Noble, who are on board with Joshua Burton. Behind them, Stuart Crawford. So 3 cars for the lead, 3 cars for 4th. That is a very preemptive, very defensive line from Chris Noble. It's not sure that's the greatest way to be racing it when we're only lap 3 of 14 with pit stops still to come, but it appears to be working for Noble at the moment, and you can see Crawford behind. Also, just enjoying the slipstream off the drivers in front. Then that battle where we lost some cars behind, but Aaron Guintini still holds on to 7th with a lot of other drivers in tow, like Hederscheid and Matthew Guintini, who are going to do a little bit of battle along with Sean Doyle, riding plenty of the curb. He was one of the drivers with no qualifying time. Jay's on the same wavelength as me. From 28th on the grid, he's up into 10th right now, and look at him slipstreaming off 9th, who's slipstreaming off 8th, who's slipstreaming off 7th. He's within touching distance of a pretty good result here as well. Who's going to go for pit lane on this lap? No one from our top 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more pit callers in the next few laps. Here's Doyle still trying to get around M. Guintini.
There they go down the front straight. You can see he's got alongside very, very well. It looks like he'll comfortably make this spot. See cars going everywhere into turn 1, using a little bit of the extra road on the outside to get that one done. Kirk Broadhurst on screen at the moment, currently 23rd. One of the pitters we can see from early on as well. So be interesting to see how this all plays out where he can end up. It looks like he's actually going to be one of the effective leaders, along with Sean McKenzie as well, one of the early pit stoppers. So be interesting to see this little battle out front though still going on. So while they're not being hindered, it's probably going to be a good idea for them to stay out in nice clean air. As for those in that mid pack that were sort of battling quite hard, it's probably where you take the opportunity to do that pit stop, because if you're not really going anywhere, you just find yourself getting involved in other people's mess, then obviously taking to the pits is an advantage. But also got to think too, we talk about it a lot tonight, the slipstream being super important. If you're out of that slipstream, it also can affect your lap time as well, much like what you'll see, for example, tonight after the broadcast. We've got scrap after this. If you're not in someone's slipstream, you can't necessarily run the same lap times that you were before. You're not helping each other with that draft. So it's also something that they need to consider with the top three. While they're doing this at the moment, although we can see Glasson going for a look up the inside, while they can still punch out the lap times at the moment, it'd be very beneficial for them just to stay there and keep doing what they're doing.
Smooth little segue for Scrap you got in there. And to Jesus and McKenzie we were looking at, because they are the two highest placed drivers to have cleared their compulsory pit stop. Sean McKenzie must have got some Red Bull for his pit crew, because that's one of the fastest two-tyre change Formula V stops I think I've ever damn seen. Now, both of the Guintinis and Sean Doyle onto the pit lane here for their compulsory pit stop. And no speed limiter on these cars, so you'll occasionally see someone a little more daring up against the speed limit than someone else. Like the two of them were closing up. This is our leading driver of those who've made their pit stop. And coming along, Sean McKenzie, I think, as well. So this is of interest for where are they relative to those in the pit stop right now. The answer is I think we're going to be quite clear and ahead, with Sean McKenzie immediately behind.
Yeah, he's just trying to pick it up as well. You can see a few cars coming out of the pits as well. Aaron Guantini coming out of the lane. Got to be careful on that pit exit. You can't afford to run too close to it, because that wall will bite. But looks like they're going to fall out just behind this little battle pack as well. So this has actually worked out quite well for them. At the moment, Joseph will be the effective leader. So they've definitely brought themselves in a really, really good position. Sean Doyle on board at the moment. We can see up front, Kirk Broadhurst going for a look up the inside of Matthew Guantini. Just going to keep the nose there, but Matthew with a much, much better run off turn two. Looks like he'll hold on to that spot, but now it might be in the interest of them to try to catch up to this lead group, the two in front of them, because they're effectively going to be battling for the lead. As we go back to the leaders at the moment, Simon Clayson, Ryan Howe, our two leaders, but just sitting in behind at the moment in third place is Dennis Hancock. So interesting to see what these two do at the moment. The lap times are looking really good. They're two of the pace setters at the moment. Actually, Ryan Howe just punching in the fastest lap of the race, that time by with a 1:57.6. So the lap times at the moment, this is definitely working out for them at the moment. Just keep doing what you're doing. They're actually going to start to stretch this gap all the way back to Jesus as well. So this is definitely working out for them right now.
They haven't been overly battling each other there as well, which might be helping those three continue to carry the pace. Here is Jamie Scala and Aaron Friend. E before I in that one, but they're side by side coming up the hill here underneath the delicious looking tomato bridge. And the inside is going to belong to the Canadian Aaron Friend, only driver I think I can see on the grid, not Club Oz NZ. So that's something interesting and unique, and that will grab 8th position at the moment, plus 29 spots per the official timing, but still yet to clear the pit stop. And here back on the lane for the second time is Matthew Quintini. So what is going on? Was there a problem with the first pit stop?
Not quite sure. As you can see, the front tyres up at the moment, so doing something there, but we'll focus on this little battle here at the moment.
Nathan Verney's got Sean Doyle in behind, who's then 3 wide with Max Donnelly, and Mikey Harland I think is the one all the way around the outside. Not sure on that, but they are going to eventually calm it down into just some 2 wide racing action. And Sean Doyle gets down the inside there, but we've seen time and time again that is not the best run off the corner, and it's a long enough straight down to the next corner that Vernie is going to take a look at him once again. There's many drivers behind here slipstreaming off them. Fickbent Veltzen and Ashley Knowles are going to catch as well. Is Max Donnelly in yellow and black, who keeps it single file but joins in the party. That's the 2 tyres on the gravel, and that's not where the speed is at all for Vernie, and he's going to lose out a spot, another spot, some more spots. Just didn't run off the corner well when he got these narrow little tyres into the gravel.
That was just so unfortunate. Had a really, really good run. Oh, he's coming sideways off the curb too. So this has been not a very good sequence of corners for Nathan at the moment. Was doing very, very well to hold on to that spot. But now he's going to fall back behind his teammate by the looks of it. So try and make their way forward again. It was a good little battle. Sean will be happy with this one. He's going to be trying to have his eyes forward now. Try and catch the pack in front. You've got Ryan and Leon Williams up front. Leon will actually make his way to the pit lane. Ryan as well, don't believe... No, Ryan has actually pitted, sorry. Definitely has pitted. But well behind the effective leader of Joseph as well. So interesting to see who just actually... Joseph just putting in his personal fastest lap there as well. So the pace is definitely starting to come up at the moment. It's going to be interesting just trying to figure out if Simon Glasson and Ryan Howe are actually going to be able to come back out in front of this group when they do their pit stops. At the moment, the lap times, it's actually starting to swing Joseph's way at the moment. The last couple laps, he's actually been a bit quicker. So maybe now might be the opportunity to go for that pit stop if they want to try and cover off and prevent losing a position straight up. So we sort of talked a bit about pit strategy, you know, trying to sort of play your cards a bit differently. Well, now there's definitely going to be a case for trying to do something a bit different now.
It's 41 seconds to the leader. Pit Delta looks like it's 37 or 38 potentially. We will see. And of course, there is a lot of variability to how long the 2 tyre change takes with these cars. There's a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill to it. Matthew Quintini's been facing the wrong way. Now he's facing the right way again. He's been through pit lane twice. And he's been for a loop once. But it doesn't look like too much damage on the car. This is the leaders, Clayson, Howe, and Dennis Hancock, and they have continued to put in times in the low 158s. Stuart Crawford, Chris Noble, and Joshua Burden doing the same behind as well. Jesus with a 57.9 last time. If you can keep it in the 57s, like and Aaron Quintini doing the same as well, and they will slowly claw a couple tenths out of this. Here comes just a little bit of fight from Crawford, who then maybe thinks better of it, and then Noble defending kind of almost forces Crawford to think about trying to go around the outside. Joshua Burden being the most patient in these 3. Skurlock and Friend and Jamie Skeller have pitted, now leaving us with just the top 6 or 7 drivers yet to make their pit stops. Tyre changes going on, and who's going to be the first off the lane out of these guys? Car drops down, but doesn't go for Michael Skurlock, as he got a penalty for speeding in pit lane or an unsafe pit entry, because he is going from bad to worse, bleeding time on the pit lane, while those he was racing continue on, join back into the fray at about the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, he's definitely been held for way too long, so it looks like Skurlock will be serving a penalty at the moment. See Doyle and Jones, the battle for 12th and 13th, raging on at the moment. These two have pitted, so this is definitely for position at this point. You can see Doyle falling in behind, getting right up behind the rear bumper there of Ryan Jones. Very lucky to not make any contact, so they will live to fight on, but that was very, very close. There's something going very, very wrong there. So glad to see that will continue for the moment. The lead, just having a quick look back at the lead at the moment. Just trying to piece together where this is. It's still currently sitting at the 43-second mark, so this is going to be quite close. You can see Dennis Hancock's actually made his way into the lane, so this is the first of the top 3 to make their run for the pits. So now we'll get to see how close to Jesus is going to be to Hancock.
Interesting to be in a pack like that and pit separate from those you were so effectively slipstreaming off, but Dennis Hancock must have an idea of what he's doing, trying to do something different, or maybe actually needed a bit of fuel in there as well. Who knows? Basically just 2 drivers for the lead. Simon Clayson from Ryan Howe. And Hancock has come out in front, and by quite a bit of Joseph DeJesus as well. So the tyre warm-up works for Dennis Hancock. He is 5 or 6 seconds clear of the next driver to have pitted. That bodes well for all of those others in the top 5 now, and Howe and Clayson, they are aware of where Hancock is fit back in. That's actually a pretty good sign. Look at that gap, very healthy, 4.7 seconds. Decent enough pit stop for Hancock, but no groundbreaking speed there. That's just minus the delta, how far ahead the leaders are on Sitter at the moment. We just want to keep up those mid and low 58s. Last time was actually a high 58 for these top 2, so that's probably not the pace they're trying to keep up. Is this a signal from Ryan Howe that he's going for pit lane?
Oh, yeah, actually just made the call over the radio now. So this will be pits for Ryan Howe. It looks like Simon might actually be going another lap. Yep, there he is. He'll stay out. He'll do one more lap in this one. Be interesting to see how this one goes. So obviously taking different strategies. Maybe Simon feels like if he has a lap in his own, he can probably push a bit of a gap back to Ryan Howe as he enters the pit. Josh Burden as well will be heading to the lane. Chris Noble will actually keep going. So we've got 2 staying out at the moment. Daniel Hederscheit looks like he's actually going to keep going as well. So we've got a few people still going for the moment. There is 5 laps to go in this one. So trying to push the tank as far as they can. But it'll be interesting to see Ryan Howe, how he comes out of the pits as opposed to DeJesus. Because that's going to be the big gap that we're going to need to see. Where that is Dennis Hancock, we can see on screen at the moment. We're also going to see where he comes out. You can see Ryan making his way down pit lane at the moment. He's going to look, Hancock is coming, but looks like Ryan Howe will maintain his outer lane. Oh, it's a car spun on exit, but will maintain that position. So, oh, just noticed that car coming out of pit lane made contact with the wall as well. So that's Josh Burden there. It was only a slight bit of contact, so it should be okay. But Ryan Howe will maintain that effective first position at this point. But we've still got to wait for Glasson to pit, who should pit this time by. Then we've got Chris Noble and Daniel Hederscheit yet to enter the lane.
Yep, just our top 3 yet to pit. And for those who stayed out a little bit longer and are just pitting now, it's worked out pretty well. Aaron Quintini here, who's pitted, against Stuart Crawford, who's pitted, and Sean McKenzie right in behind them as well, battling over 8th, 9th, and 10th at the minute. And this is the highest placed battle on track at the moment because the pit stops and such have broken up our leading pairs of cars. Crawford got in real deep there, but the descent and the topography really helps the cars rotate on the apex there, and it managed to make it all the way through the corner. From the lead now, Simon Clayson's on the lane. Looks like Chris Noble following him in as well. There is a lot of pit entry that they've got to attack before they get to those yellow cones that signify the start of the pit lane speed limit. Now Clayson's and Noble going down the lane and looking for their pit crew to get their tyre change. Hederscheit yet to stop, cycles through into the lead. Him and Paul Ward, the only 2 drivers out there who haven't cleared their compulsory pit stop just yet. Here's Ryan Howe, highest placed of the drivers who have cleared their compulsory stop, and I think he's definitely going to swing ahead of Chris Noble, but where's he going to be compared to Simon Clayson's? That one we're going to find out shortly. There's Clayson still in the pit exit. Here's Ryan Howe coming around turn 1 with all the speed up. Looks really good for Howe. He could be the net race leader come the end of all of this.
Yeah, definitely. Actually looks like that's going to be what it's going to go. Howe with just an amazing outlap compared to those around him. So he's done a fantastic job. Glass is now going to come under attack from Hancock as they head up into turn 2. So this has actually worked out really bad for Simon. Obviously came from the race lead, trying to extend himself out, try and use that, having less fuel, trying to maximize the run that he was having, and it's actually just pushed him further back in the pack. But obviously have to wait till those front tyres to come up to temp, so it might help him later on. Obviously front tyres definitely help with the front grip, help with the rotation of the car. So he'll clear, he'll go back in front. So now it's going to be chasing down cars in front will have a real quick look. It's a 4.6 second gap between them, so we'll have to see if he can chase that gap down. We can look at this little battle pack at the moment. So we've got Crawford, Noble, Burden and Mackenzie. See cars off on the side as well. Someone's off into the dirt that's spun. You can see positions shuffling around at the moment as they go side by side on the infield, battling hard for positions. This looks like it's about 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. So battling to keep that spot just inside the top 10. And you can see a car off on the grass. Stephen Black a bit far down the field, but yeah, obviously caught up in a little bit of an incident, trying to get himself back going again. Daniel Hederscheid currently in the lead, still going at the moment. He's only got about 3 more laps, so he's going to have to pit the next couple. As you were saying, he's got probably lap 12 will be as far as he can stretch the tank. You can see Ryan Howe coming across the start finish line with a considerable gap to the cars behind. So with only a few more laps to run, once Hederscheid pits, he's just got to manage the gap to the cars behind. He should be able to take the win in race 2.
Might be the last lap for Daniel Hederscheid before he's forced to pit. End of the compulsory pit window coming up shortly. Ryan Howe will be hoping that these drivers we're watching here will battle each other rather than work together, because if they can work together with 3 laps still to go, they could close the gap to him. If they fight and they don't match his pace, and it will be his race to win. And there's also an insane battle from 6th place on back. You can see it on the timing column, shuffling around as they all go too wide, time after time, into every single corner. Somehow, Stuart Crawford is holding on to 6th. Chris Noble alongside him, also too wide behind them. And the timing tower doesn't know what to do when they keep shuffling those positions the way they're battling here. Sean McKenzie hoping to catch them as well, and look at all of the smoke that these cars throw up into the air on gear shift, on lockup. When they have a bit of a slide, they are absolutely throwing the smoke here, there and everywhere. Daniel Hederscheid, last driver to pit. Here he comes down pit entry, quite ginger with the pit lane speed limit, but we have seen drivers who look like they've been penalised for speeding on pit lane before, so you don't want that to be you.
Definitely not. Take it nice and easy into the lane. As you mentioned earlier, it's quite a long run into the lane, so it's very, very easy if you mistime your braking point just to overshoot the start line there for the pit entry. You can see this pack at the moment, the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th, so good recovery from DeJesus as well, considering he had that spin earlier on and dropped back a little bit to get himself back into the battle for the podium spot. He's done a fantastic job. This should be the effective battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and see Hederscheid coming out of the lane at the moment. That's actually a fantastic job he's done there. He's going to come out in 5th. He's going to have quite a gap back to this pack behind. These guys battling very, very hard for the moment. This is going to be for that 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th as well. So this big battle is just inside the top 10. So that's a really, really good job from Hederscheid as well to actually come out in 5th spot. So that
4 wide.
run,
You're going to get 4 wide with 2 laps to go. Is this going to end poorly? Surely it has to. There's no way that doesn't end poorly. Somehow, I think Smart One backs out of it. Quintini cooks the apex, somehow manages to not make contact with the others. Stuart Crawford will have been wondering what on earth is going on in my mirrors. Kirk Broadhurst, Joshua Burden, Aaron Quintini, Sean McKenzie, have you lost your minds? Chris Noble was sensibly deciding that he wasn't going to make that particular battle 5 wide. Somehow, common sense prevailed, and all of our Formula Vs carry on undamaged from that. Ryan Howe isn't far away from starting the final lap at the race, and he's got a 5-second lead that is going to give him a great buffer with 1 more lap to go. But every other position from there on back, I would say you could not start writing the name on the trophy just yet.
Oh, this battle is just going to carry on to the end. Tell you what, they deserve credit for that. 4 wide into turn 2. The writing was on the wall for that one to go very, very bad, but they've all managed to survive that one, so hats off to all those drivers involved. But still not over yet. So heading up to the second last corner You can see they're 2-3 wide. Everyone's just battling as hard as they can to try and get a spot. Chris Noble going to the inside, actually just backs out at the last second, so it's compromised his run a little bit, so it's not going to be what he would want. You can see Ryan Jones, actually this little pack here, and Sean Dorr, they're going to go 3 wide down the front straight. Sean Dorr's going to pick up 2 spots in one straight.
Start of the final lap, and Chris Noble just doesn't want any part of this as Doyle and Ryan Jones grab positions away from him. Track limits start to become very flexible on the final lap. Ryan Howe still 4.5 seconds clear of this battle for second, where Clayson is down the inside to Jesus around the outside, I think, there, and Dennis Hancock is wondering if he can get on the podium from 4th place. Daniel Hedderscheid with his long game strategy. Oh no, there's a spinner there for Stuart Crawford, and he's going to drop out big time back into 13th, if he can even get it back on the track. Hedderscheid's going to be enjoying his little bit of clean air in 5th, but then from 6th on backwards. That is where it has been getting crazy, and Dennis Hancock is dropping back from them big time. Has he still got the fuel? Is this pack behind going to catch him? As you can see, Quintini and Broadhurst battling, and Quintini comes around the outside there, and it is starting to let Burden get away a little bit. Time ticking down on the remainder of this race. We are on the final lap. Just a couple corners to go for your leaders. A couple corners to go for these drivers who are battling. It's just 2 turns for Ryan Howe. He stayed with the lead pack early. He pitted and made a great stop. Gave him some clean air here, and he has just used that magically in the last couple laps to run away from the rest of the field. Ryan Howe is going to take the win in the feature race and bag some big points for that. Behind, though, you can see Jesus just trying to bring it to the checkered flag ahead of Clayson's, who's slipstreaming off of him. Oh, that is as wide as you're going to get from Crawford, I think it was. And now it's Burden. We've got Crawford and Broadhurst battling out here, and I see a couple drivers with slowdowns to clear at the end there as well, and coming to a complete stop almost. Chris Noble, other drivers coming together in the end here. This has been the action zone, these final 2 corners on the last laps of these races. Mikey Harland and Max Donnelly come together, swooping on through one of the locked on cars, and it's facing the wrong way for Jeremy Bush, trying to get it pointed around. It was all action lap 1. It's all action on the final lap as well. Drivers trying to make it to the checkered flag.
Fantastic work by everyone there. It's obviously going all the way to the end. Waiting on the last few drivers to make their way across the line. You've got Matthew Harriott and Mick Taylor battling towards they get to the finish line, but looks like Mick Taylor will hold on to that spot as they get to the line. A few more drivers just waiting to see as they come to the line, but action-packed. Phil Ward, Jeremy Bush coming to the line. Jeremy obviously recovering at the moment, but look like he might just hold on. No, might drop that spot as they get to the line. So, yeah, just holds on to it. Just, 0.033, so the smallest of margins there. But we'll go through your final race results.
And expect to see a couple drivers with some penalties from the last couple corners there. Track limits potentially exceeded, slowdown penalties. There was definitely a couple drivers who looked desperate to try and clear their slowdown penalty before getting that checkered flag and might have lost out. Oh, yep, just seeing confirmation there as the order adjusts. So Ryan Howe, still the winner from Joseph DeJesus. So strong in qualifying, clean sweeping the poles. Take a look at that qualifying setup there, I reckon, because it was very, very effective and could put him in some good places for the remainder of the season. Simon Clayson's completes the podium, and Dennis Hancock had to give up a couple seconds on the final lap there. I don't know if it was slowdown, I don't know if it was fuel related, but he still got 4th place from Hedderscheid in 5th. And then in that battle over 6th, Josh Burden held on, and then Kirk Broadhurst, Sean McKenzie, Ryan Jones, and Chris Noble completed the top 10. There were some drivers vying for that 6th place who really ended up losing out big time towards the end. Then Nathan Verney in 11th, Stuart Crawford in 12th, James Skeller 13th, Max Donnelly, Mikey Harland, Aaron Friend, Rick Berger, Stafford Marsland, Michael Skurlock, and Aaron Guintini, I think, was one of those drivers who might have gotten 40 seconds added towards the end. Simon, bring us through the rest of the results.
And 21st, we have Sean Doyle, Mick Taylor 22nd, Jeremy Bush 23rd, Paul Ward in 24th, Leon Williams 25th, 26th be Matthew Guantini, Callum Heinrich in 27th, Ashley Knowles in 28th, Ira Felberg 29th, Cam Dance, what could have been the reigning champions having a hard time of this one in round 1 in 30th, Matthew Joy coming home in 31st, 32nd, Vic Bent. See, you said his name and now it's ruined it for me. Bent Belzen, Matthew Harriet in 33rd, Stephen Black, Ray Oliver, Ryan Simpson, Reese Gardner, unfortunately involved in another opening lap incident, Lee Partridge, and Simon Hederscheit rounding out the 39-car grid.
Well, some big winners, but also some big scalps, a lot of damage here at the Red Bull Ring, and key amongst them, not a great start to the season for Cam Dance, for Lee Partridge, two drivers who did so well for themselves in season 1. They've got only 5 more rounds left this season to try to pick up some points. Meanwhile, I think Ryan Howe is one of the drivers putting on a great showing, might even be our points leader after the first round, and I think we can speak to him. So let's get Ryan Howe up into the commentary box. Congratulations on that feature race win. You were just in with the lead pack, and tell us about the timing on the pit stop and the decision that went into that, because that was just the defining moment for your race.
Thank you, David. Just with the pit stop, I just thought there's no point being behind the guy I was behind Simon. We were just slowing each other down, so I thought I'll pit now and hopefully I get down in some clear air, which I did, and I just put down some consistent laps.
You make it sound so easy, and every 39 of these drivers is probably going to try to do that next round. Race 1, talk us through that from your perspective. Did it go to plan?
It went, very to plan. I was actually quite nervous being my first race in the V. Never done a proper start before, and nailed the start and just tried to stay back a bit and be a bit patient, and people just started taking themselves out, and it just worked to my advantage.
And this season of OZICAR Formula V is some really different tracks to what we saw in season 1. A lot more sort of Grand Prix style stuff. I think it's going to be even more slipstreaming, even more pack racing. So how was Red Bull Ring for these cars? Because, I mean, I just can't think of anything a more slipstreamy combination.
Yeah, it's all about the slipstream. Like, if you get out of that slipstream or you fall behind just that over a second, you're lost from the pack and they take away from you. So I'm interested to see what the next few races hold in terms of slipstream, because you've got to use it to your advantage. If you pit early and you come out not in slipstream and the other guys are, you'll lose time and you'll lose your places.
Well, you're off to a good start. You're going to have to keep your head on your shoulders for the remainder of the season as well. Any thoughts about the Formula V, about how it races and what the strengths and weaknesses are going to be for you in it?
Personally, online, it's one of my favorite race cars. Just simple the fact you can race side by side. You can go full wide into corners, as we saw. And just with, it's not the fastest car, but when you have 40 of them on track, you don't need speed. It feels fast anyway when you're with that many cars around you. So it's quite fun just to be able to go side by side and bumper to bumper with other cars and not be too worried, actually, and trust people.
Well, congratulations to you. Double podium and taking the win in the feature. Anyone to thank?
I'm probably going to have to say Chris Noble. He was the one who convinced me to do this, and Mikey as well. Those two have just been a huge help and helped me setting it up. So got to thank those two.
Easily done. See you next week, hopefully.
Sweet. Thank you.
And that'll wrap up coverage here from the Red Bull Ring for OZICAR Formula V Round 1. The kind of breathtaking non-stop action we'd come to expect from this season carries on into Season 2. And next week, we go to Barcelona. I do think that's the national layout, potentially, but we will see about that one. And again, another Grand Prix circuit, another wide, fast, slipstream bonanza, and we might have another big grid once again. You'll see it here, same time next week on SimSpeed TV. And whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or anywhere else, make sure you follow us, because not only is it OZICAR Formula V, but tomorrow night is OZICAR Skip Barber, and then all of the other championship racing action and iRacing series that we cover here on SimSpeed TV every day of the week is always fantastic viewing and a great window into what the Australian iRacing community is doing and racing and who's moving and shaking. So for myself, David Haynes, from Simon Mazzomo alongside me and Jay Kennedy, we say thanks for joining us tonight, and thank you to Simfinity, Locked On iRacing Podcast, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and 24/7 Race Control. See you next week.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?